The Catholic Church teaches that the Pope is infallible, that he's guided by divine will, that he speaks for God. But what if God couldn't protect him? What if the throne of Peter wasn't a position of spiritual authority, but a target on your back? Throughout history, 5 popes didn't just die in office. They were murdered, poisoned, clubbed to death, strangled, suffocated with pillows, executed by the very people who surrounded them. These aren't martyrs killed by Roman emperors for their faith. These are leaders of the church murdered by their own clergy, by Roman nobles, by people with something to gain from their death. This is the story of papal assassination, of institutional murder, of the moment when the church stopped being a spiritual institution and became a battleground where power was measured in blood. These 5 popes didn't see death coming, or if they did, the institution they led couldn't stop it. Drop a comment right now. If you were pope, would you be terrified? And tell me your location and what time it is, because I want to know who's watching this and realizing how fragile even the highest positions of power really are. Also, which pope's death shocks you the most? Comment below and let me know which murder feels the darkest to you. Part 1. The first murder nobody expected. We have to start in the year 257 AD. Rome is in chaos. The Emperor Valerian has declared war on Christianity, not through debate, not through law, through execution. His decree is simple and brutal. All Christian priests, bishops and deacons will be put to death. It's September 6th, 258 AD. Pope Sixtus II is in a cemetery, delivering a sermon to his congregation. He's surrounded by worshippers, by supporters, by people who love him, and then Roman soldiers storm the cemetery. They don't arrest him, they don't drag him to trial, they execute him on the spot, right there, in front of everyone, while he's in the act of leading his flock. According to the accounts, Sixtus II is beheaded, not executed cleanly in some ceremony, killed in the violence of the moment, his head severed from his body while Christians watch helplessly. He's buried where he fell and later canonized as a saint. But here's what makes this different from every other Christian martyr of that era. Sixtus II is the Pope. He's the head of the church, and he couldn't save himself. This is the first documented murder of a pope. A man killed for his faith, yes, but also killed because he occupied the most dangerous position in the Christian world. Sixtus II's death establishes a pattern that will repeat for centuries. The throne of Peter is a target. Part 2. Murder becomes politics. Jump forward 600 years. Christianity is no longer persecuted. It's the dominant religion of Europe. The Pope isn't hunted by emperors. The Pope is an emperor, controlling territory, commanding armies, wielding political power. And now, murder isn't about faith, it's about control. The year is 872 AD. Pope John VIII sits on the papal throne. He's paranoid, maybe with reason, maybe not, but his paranoia is about to prove justified in the most violent way possible. John VIII spent his entire papacy fighting rivals, fighting cardinals, fighting nobles, fighting for control of Rome and the papal states. He's terrified of conspiracies. He hears threats everywhere, and his fear makes him dangerous. He starts excommunicating powerful bishops and church officials. He removes people from power. He makes enemies of men with nothing to lose and everything to gain. One of those men is someone close to him, someone he trusts, someone with access to his food, his chambers, his life. One of his own clerics decides John VIII has to die. The method is clinical, practical. A relative, possibly a family member, is convinced to slip poison into John's drink. It works, sort of. The poison starts working. John VIII begins to feel the effects. He starts to weaken. He realizes what's happening. But the poison is working too slowly. The murderer, impatient, watching his victim still alive, still breathing, still functioning, makes a decision. Finish the job. He produces a hammer, a brutal, simple weapon, and he beats Pope John VIII to death. This isn't a quick execution. This is violence. This is rage. This is a man making sure the job gets done. John VIII dies in 882, beaten to death by someone from within his own household, after being poisoned by someone he should have been able to trust. He's the first pope to be assassinated during a time of relative peace, not killed by emperors, killed by his own clergy for political reasons, and his death opens a floodgate. Part 3. The Woman Who Ruled Through Murder. Now we enter the darkest chapter of papal history, the period historians call the Saeculum Obscurum, the dark age of the papacy, and at the centre of this darkness is a woman named Marozia. Marozia is born around 890 AD to one of Rome's most powerful families. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she understands power, and she's willing to do whatever it takes to control Rome. At 15 years old, she becomes the mistress of Pope Sergius III, not out of love, out of calculation. She gives him a son named John, and that son will become Pope John XI. But first, Marozia needs to clear the path, and the man in her way is Pope John X. John X has ruled for 14 years. He's accomplished things. He's defeated the Saracens. He's brought stability to Rome. But he's made one fatal mistake. He's opposed Marozia. He's tried to assert papal independence. He's built alliances that exclude her. He's refused to be her puppet. So Marozia decides he has to die. She marries a military commander named Guy of Tuscany. Together they plan John X's downfall with the precision of assassins. In 928, they strike. Guy's troops attack the Lateran Palace. John X's brother, Peter, the Pope's closest advisor and beloved companion, is caught off guard. There's no defence, no escape. Peter is slaughtered, not killed in battle, murdered, cut to pieces before his brother's eyes, according to the chronicles. The Pope watches his brother die. Then John X is dragged to Castel Sant'Angelo, an ancient fortress on the Tiber River. He's thrown into a dungeon, he's imprisoned, he's alone, and then, within months, he's dead. The official story is that he died from grief and maltreatment. The accepted account, recorded by chronicler Liutprand of Cremona, is far more brutal. Marozia herself came to his cell, held a pillow over his mouth and suffocated him. Whether Marozia personally killed him or simply gave the order doesn't matter. The result is the same. Pope John X, dead. Murdered by a woman using the state apparatus of Rome as her weapon. With John X gone, Marozia installs her own popes. Leo VI, Stephen VII. Both her creatures, both installed to do exactly what she wants, both dispensable, and within 2 years both are dead. Not by natural causes, murdered, removed when they're no longer useful. Finally, in 931, Marozia places her son, the illegitimate child of Pope Sergius III, on the papal throne as Pope John XI. He's in his early 20s, and he owes everything to his mother. For the first time in papal history, a woman isn't just influential. A woman has murdered her way to complete control of the Church. Part 4. Murderous Succession Crisis. The chaos doesn't stop. If anything, it accelerates. The year is 973 AD. Emperor Otto the Great dies, and the moment he dies, the delicate balance of power in Rome collapses. Pope Benedict VI is elected with Otto's backing. But without Otto's protection, he's vulnerable, naked, exposed to the same forces that have murdered popes before him. Within months, a faction led by Crescentius, a nobleman with imperial ambitions, moves against Benedict. They storm the papal palace. They seize the pope. Benedict VI is dragged to Castel Sant'Angelo, the same fortress where John X died 45 years earlier. History rhymes in Rome. Inside the dungeon, a priest, a man of God, ordained to serve the Church, is ordered to murder the Pope, not by soldiers, by a rival claimant to power. The priest does it. He strangles Benedict VI to death. Not quickly. Strangulation is slow. It's violent. It's intimate. The Pope dies gasping for air. The priest's hands around his throat. It's 974 AD. Within a year of Otto's death, the Pope is dead, and Crescentius installs his own candidate, Boniface VII, the anti-pope, the illegitimate claimant, the man who orchestrated a papal murder. Boniface VII rules for a time, but the Romans are outraged. A pope has been strangled to death, not in secret, not in distant lands, in their city, in their fortress. Boniface VII eventually flees Rome, and after he dies, under suspicious circumstances, the Romans exact revenge. They strip his corpse of its vestments, drag it naked through the streets, and leave it where crowds can desecrate it. They stab the corpse with spears. They trample it. It's the only form of justice they can inflict on a dead man. Part 5. When the emperor dies, the pope dies with him. The final murder in our sequence happens in 984 AD, and it reveals the most brutal truth about papal power. The pope is only safe if someone stronger is protecting him. Pope John XIV is elected with the backing of Emperor Otto II. Otto is his sole support, his only protector, his lifeline, and then Otto II dies. John XIV is now completely alone. He has no allies, no army, no protection, just the vestments of office and a throne that suddenly looks like a target. The man who murdered Pope Benedict VI, anti-Pope Boniface VII, is still alive. He's waiting. He's planning. Without the emperor to stop him, Boniface VII moves quickly. He captures Pope John XIV, he imprisons him, and then he leaves him to die. There's no poisoning, no hammer blows, no dramatic suffocation. John XIV is simply locked away and left to waste away in captivity, starved, isolated, forgotten. That's how a pope dies when nobody cares enough to protect him. John XIV dies in his cell. His death isn't dramatic because nobody is willing to make a show of it. He's just gone, erased from power, from history, from life itself. Why popes were vulnerable. These 5 murders reveal something fundamental about power in medieval Rome. The pope was only as safe as the political forces supporting him. Sixtus II died because the emperor wanted Christians dead. His spiritual authority meant nothing against imperial decree. John VIII died because he made enemies within his own household. His paranoia was justified, but paranoia doesn't protect you. Vigilance does, and he wasn't vigilant enough. John X died because he challenged a more powerful force, Marozia and her family. The papacy lost to politics. Divine authority lost to dynastic ambition. Benedict VI died because the emperor who installed him died. Without Otto, he was expendable, vulnerable, doomed. John XIV died because he had no protector at all. He was completely alone. And alone, even the Pope is just a man. The pattern is clear. The Pope is powerful only when someone more powerful is willing to defend him. Remove that protection, and the Pope becomes what John X became, a prisoner suffocating under a pillow. After these murders, the Church learned something crucial. Institutional survival depends on rules that transcend individual power. It's why the Church reformed itself. It's why papal elections became more institutionalized. It's why, eventually, the Pope's authority became tied to canon law rather than military might. But for centuries, the lesson was written in blood. The Catholic Church teaches that the Pope is infallible in matters of faith and doctrine. But history shows that popes are very fallible in matters of survival. 5 popes were murdered, killed by rivals, killed by nobles, killed by family members, killed by the very institution they led. They didn't die for their faith. They died for power. They died because they were in someone's way. They died because Rome was a city where murder was politics and politics was murder. The Church survived their deaths. Rome survived. The papacy continued. New popes were elected to replace them, but those 5 murdered popes couldn't survive. If you found this dark history fascinating, hit subscribe. We've got more videos about the popes who tortured their enemies, the ones who started wars, the ones who used the Church to build empires and didn't care who died in the process. The papacy's history isn't clean. It isn't noble. It's human. It's violent. It's a reminder that power, even power claimed to come from God, is built on human hands, defended by human strength, and lost when that strength fails. Thanks for watching.